Black women, I love us, and I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Bebop and Rocksteady never said that they were the protector, defender, or lover of black women. They never gave you anything to make you believe that they would either choose you or protect you. What happened here is that we have been getting so abused online that when you see a crumb of a black man that looks like maybe he doesn't like us, but at least he'll be nice to us. When you see that, you gravitate to it because everybody else that doesn't look like us or look like us is spitting on us online. So you see these two guys who, for Black American women, have a very different culture. So you don't understand the nuances of a lot of things that they're saying, and their humor is a little different. So you really can't catch the shade or the jokes like the women of their community. So you gravitate to them and you build this platform for them, although they never chose you and they never sought you out. And I think what's also happening here is there's a lot of disappointment, right? Because I think we all knew. Right? I think the black women who were supporting him, you caught it, you knew. But because they were not as brutal, you accepted the crumbs that they gave you. And as women who come from a marginalized community and a demographic that is brutalized, you are desperate for some kind of protection because we have never, ever had that. So because at first glance, they don't appear to be like the other black male podcasters who say the most vile things about us, right? Especially the Black American ones. There's no sugarcoating it, right? They say it out the gate. We are masculine. We are ugly. White girls are winning. We are not the perfect partners for them. They wouldn't spit on us if we were on fire. Like, we have gotten a lot of nastiness and brutality from black male podcasters. So you see these guys with a softer tone and a cute little innocent accent, you are thinking that, oh, they'll be nice to us. They're not like the others. But here is why you should not just listen to your sisters here, but you should also listen to your sisters abroad, because UK black women have been saying these men are trash. I remember my first introduction into UK Bert and Ernie was I saw a video of this medium Drake looking one who was saying that dark-skinned black girls bullied him, so he bullied them back with colorism. And he was saying that he said a lot of nasty things and he is apologetic to some of the people who caught strays in his colorism brutality, but he had to do it because the dark-skinned black girls at his school was bullying him because he was mixed. Now we know that's a damn lie. We know that's a damn lie, right? Did the dark-skinned black girls bully you because you were mixed, or did the dark-skinned black girls bully you back because you were bullying them because they were dark and monoracial? Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. So that was the first video I saw concerning Timon and Pumbaa. It was a UK black woman who was sharing clips of their podcast, and she was sharing the colorist and misogynistic things that they were saying, basically as a warning to black American women, like, don't platform them. We didn't see it, right? So they were platformed. Now, as I said before, that was the first video that I saw of them, so I was already turned off, and I just don't listen to male podcasters. Here's why. I am decentering men from my life, and it is the best thing I've ever done for my mental health. So when you decenter men, you don't have any expectations for them. It's just like, oh, okay, you're being colorist again, you're being misogynistic again. All right, it doesn't sting like it used to because I have removed you from the center of my life and put me in that center. So unfortunately, your expectations have to be low so that you can keep some semblance of sanity in this world, where you have a world of people who constantly tell you that you are less than and that you are inferior than because they simply need for you to believe it because they don't believe it. So they say it to you often and loud to break you. So in that chaos of hearing all of these things, these guys seemed safe. They seemed nice. And if you don't have any information of them because they're foreign to you and because you don't really know their backstory or their history, so you blindly support them and platform them without properly vetting them. And this is something that we as black women have to start doing. We have to properly vet everyone. Here is why. Black Americans alone spend $2 trillion a year in the United States of America. Who is that person swiping that credit card? Who is that person in the black household swiping that debit card? Who is that person in the black household pulling a wad of cash out of her bra? Black American women. We are an extremely profitable community here and abroad. So people pander to us, but they also abuse us online. Here is why. Our views make people wealthy. Our support and our outrage make people wealthy. I will never forget when Elon announced on Twitter that he would now start paying people to post, right? So if you signed up for Twitter and you got like the verified, you bought the verified badge, he would start paying people per view. And I remember the first viral tweet since Elon announced that was this Arab guy who made a video of him in a canoe looking at a whiteboard, pointing to it, saying that Black women are masculine animals and violent. I don't care if he believed it. He did it because he knew that it would make him money, and it did. It went viral. Black women were reposting it. Black women were interacting with it. Black people were interacting with it. People who defend Black people were interacting with it because it was just so awful and nasty. But then also people who believe those things were interacting with it. And that tweet made him a lot of money. So in a land where everybody's a freaking follower, everybody started to follow suit because that one tweet got that man probably thousands of dollars because of its engagement. So people pander to us. They also attack us because our views make people wealthy. So because those men did not choose you, because those men did not want you, they kept you around. Why? Because you made them and are still making them a lot of money. Black women got them boys to 8.3 million supporters on TikTok. That was Black women. Black women got them hundreds and thousands of views on YouTube. Black women got them hundreds and thousands of followers on Instagram. Black women did that, but it still is not enough because it is not a community that they want. They cannot appreciate you if they do not value you. So although you are giving them this life that they never had, it still is not enough because they do not value you. Who they value is white men. And we will get to that later. But first, I want to address where all of this came from. Thing one and thing two went on the Poor Minds podcast. And there was a clip that Poor Minds, I think they put on their Twitter or on their Instagram, where they were engaging with the men about American women. And I believe it was Drake's Tether who said, there are no baddies in Atlanta. And then demonic Rick Ross said that all of the women in Atlanta are clapped, which soon became a dog whistle to Black Americans because, as we know, Atlanta is a Black city that is full of baddies. So for you to come to Atlanta and say that there are no baddies there, that signals that you are not looking for Black women because you are going to find a Black baddie at every freaking corner of Atlanta. I just went to the Dollar Tree and I saw a baddie. It was two baddies in there, me and her. You're going to find a baddie in Atlanta wherever you go. But if you're not looking for Black baddies, you're not going to find much. No shade to non-Black women who live in Atlanta. I'm just saying the majority of the people in Atlanta are Black. So it is absolutely impossible to not find baddies. Let's also talk about the cultural context of what a baddie is. They are speaking in AAVE, right? They are speaking in African American vernacular. They do not have the proper understanding of what a baddie is. And we just have to be honest here. These men are from a nation where the colonization is pure. The white beauty standards there are more clapped than the American beauty standards. So what they look up to and what they aspire to is not what we Black Americans look up to and aspire here. So what we consider a baddie is not what they are going to consider a baddie. And they have the wrong context of what a baddie actually is. A baddie is a beautiful, fly, African-American hood chick. That's what it is. And that baddie aesthetic was perfected by Black American trans women. They don't know that and they don't have that context. So who they consider a baddie is Mrs. Slocum, right? They're not thinking of a Sierra. In their minds, what gets their ding-a-ling-tinging is a picture of Queen Elizabeth, not Beyonce. That is their standard. So of course they would say such things. But to the Black American viewers who like these gentlemen and follow these gentlemen, it was a dog whistle. Because for these men to come to a predominantly Black city and say that there are no attractive women there, we already knew what we were working with. Now, I think a lot of people, because I've seen some videos, I think a lot of people who support them already knew that they were not their type, right? A lot of Black women who watched them already knew that they were not the choice for them in a relationship, right? But they still thought that at least these guys would treat them with a semblance of humanity. Then all the other clips start coming out about the misogynistic and colorist things that they are. Sorry, my camera died. But then all the other things started to come out about all of the misogynistic and colorist things that they were saying. And a lot of Black women were just like, yeah, I can't support them anymore. This is just too hard and difficult to do. And I absolutely understand that, get that, and respect it. But before we move on, I do want to talk about where I think that Poor Minds went wrong. Where they went wrong, the hosts, the women of Poor Minds, where they went wrong was that they did not protect their audience, right? They removed themselves from their audience and put themselves on a platform that was not on the same level of the women who they thought that Flotsam and Jetsam did not find attractive. And as a Black woman, I feel like that's where they went wrong, because they separated themselves from Black women in Atlanta. One of the hosts went on a rant on Twitter and she was just like, I'm from Houston. I am not an Atlanta woman. I didn't need to defend Atlanta women because I'm a woman from Houston. You're a Black woman, right? And you also are a Black woman who has a podcast for Black women. Now, I know she said, I have subscribers all over, and maybe, you know, they don't matter. Or maybe, you know, you were just trying to defend yourself in a moment and wasn't thinking clearly. I will say it just did not look good. You did not protect your audience. It was kind of giving what these gentlemen are giving. It's like, the audience that I have, I don't necessarily want. So when it's time to protect them, I won't protect them because I'm actually looking for another audience. I'm not saying that that's what they were doing. I'm just saying that's what it was given. And women also have to realize you will never win by going along with misogyny, because their comments about women, especially Black women, was just misogynistic. You guys didn't step in to protect them. Because you did not protect that audience, you also did not protect or defend yourself, because they did not know that either one of you were not from Atlanta until you mentioned it. So they're saying that the women in Atlanta are clapped and not attractive. They were saying that about you. And because you removed yourself from Atlanta women because you have a different location, you didn't get that they couldn't tell the difference. That was my only issue with Poor Minds. I will also give them grace because Black women, but I have a YouTube channel here and I have people on a panel, and I, you know, have to make sure I'm protecting my audience and have been in awkward situations. But although it was awkward, I still had to address it because I have to protect my audience. This is my platform, and these people come here to see me and the content that I put out, and I have to make this a safe space for them. And that moment, Poor Minds did not make that space safe for Black women in Atlanta. This is not a call out for them. It's a call in. Now, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, it's a call out. And let's be honest here, they're not pulling baddies in Atlanta. They're not pulling baddies in the UK. That was more of a let me reject them before they reject me. Because if we keep it about, these men are cornballs. And if they're cornballs in UK, they're clapped in the US of A. I don't even think that these men were looking or approaching baddies. I think they were embellishing for content, and it came and bit them in the caboose. And they also probably could have been humbled by baddies in Atlanta. And so instead of working on themselves, they do the incel thing and they go and just start tearing down women. Because men in any culture, when they cannot get the women that they desire, they start to play the little mind game where if I tear them down, if I try to put them in a cage, then maybe they will submit to me. Because when they submit to me, they will see that I am actually a much better being than them. They have to manipulate and infiltrate your mind to make you think that you are less than them so that you can submit to them. Because without these mind games, without the degradation, without them laughing at you and insulting you and putting up women who oppress you and saying they are better than you, without all of those mind games and that mental gymnastics, you would never look their way. This is a woman breakdown pattern that is perfected in the church. Because if you go to any church or any organized religion, the women always outperform the men in looks, ability, and craft. Especially Black American women. We're out earning and out learning our men, right? Instead of our men getting on board with us and climbing up that ladder together, they have decided, not all, but enough where it's a problem, they have decided to become our mortal enemy. And this is the problem that all marginalized women are dealing with. Our men are submitting to white supremacy while we are fighting white supremacy and gaining ground, but we're doing it all by ourselves. We need help. We want help. We don't want to fight. Pick up your sword, bro, and get this freedom with me. And it also comes from Insecurities, right? These are black men from the UK, so they probably felt like they could not match up to black American men and was probably just out there being extremely uncomfortable, but also searching for white women because I guess the black women that they desired or would have wanted as a notch in their belt, they could not compete with the men that can actually bag those women. So what do? Oh, they're clapped. Are they really clapped, or are they clapped because you couldn't get them? I think that's what it is. Now we have all this outrage. You know, their supporters, their black women supporters are very disappointed in them. They come out with this apology. This clip of them from Poor Minds starts going viral. And you know, there's a little conversation or talk about it, right? But then there's another video that comes out. Rufus and Doofus went on Poor Hitler's podcast and they basically were humiliated. I think maybe they were intimidated again. I think that they were intimidated just by America, right? And then to sit on a platform where you have two beautiful American women who you are intimidated by because you're already intimidated by Americans, but then you get in front of black American women who you have heard all of these things about, and then you see these gorgeous women who are holding their own on the same wavelength as you. That's intimidating as well. And then you get in front of your oppressor, but also your idol. So there was no way that these men were going to protect black women because they couldn't even protect themselves. Because the first clip that went viral from Poor Hitler's podcast, he only makes fun of black women because Timon and Pumbaa put black women on a pedestal, but they only put black women on a pedestal in comparison to how they make white men more attractive and they just upgrade them in life because they were talking about the black wife effect that was happening on TikTok. Now Hitler's tether didn't like that. So he in turn flipped it and said, oh no, black women stressed you out. Black women are just not good people. White men lose their hairline. Black women are aggressive. Just really hitting negative stereotypes about black women. And what did Timon and Pumbaa do? Shucked and jived. Laughed it up like it was the most hilarious thing ever. Oh, but wait, there's more. That alabaster demon then clocked demonic Rick Ross about his people, saying the nastiest stereotypes about Nigerian people to an American audience, mind you. And what did demonic Rick Ross do? Chucked it up. Shannon sharped it the entire interview. So this clip starts going around, and I know Poor Minds got a praying grandmother because everybody forgot about them and hopped on to Broke Hitler. Because this podcast appearance on their American tour, don't ever come to America again. Y'all need to stay over there where y'all safe. Y'all fumbled it over here. But this podcast tour, this interview, this was more sinister. Poor Minds, it was sloppy. It was messy. It wasn't right. It wasn't right. It didn't sit right with me. This evil, nasty work. Sitting in front of this white man while he not only degrades the women from your community, whether you like it or not, he then degrades you and your culture personally. And you laugh. While Smedium Drake is like looking around. It's so embarrassing. He degraded you and you took it. I will say this about that tender-eyed alabaster. He gave them a masterclass in dominance, right? He let them boys know they were not going to come on his show and out-alpha him. Because as soon as they told that white man that black women, people who we think are inferior to him, makes his community better, he said absolutely not. And asserted dominance. Took their power away, out-alpha them right back. Embarrassed them, humiliated them, shamed them, and laughed in his face with the rest of the Americans on that couch. Buck breaking 101. And so these boys later hop on their podcast and they apologize. I still don't know who they apologized to because they never named it. They just kept on saying our community. Who the hell is your community? Speak to the audience that you have that you did not protect. But they cannot protect you, black women, because they do not desire you in partnership or in career. So they didn't want to name who they offended because they do not want the audience that they unfortunately gained. That's why they were on that Alabaster Demons platform, because that is the audience they want. white incels, self-hating black men of color who feel inadequate, insecure men who can't get a baddie, so he'll tear her down mentally and make her feel less than, and platform women he can't even get just to make her feel small so that she can be attainable to him. That's the audience that they want. That's the audience they sought out after. But because they were not as brutal as black American podcasters and white men, they were able to gain an audience that needed to be seen and needed to be protected. Black women. So I will give them this. I can't get mad at them for not protecting a community they never wanted. They never wanted you, black women, because there's such a lack of support from men in our community, men who didn't even look like they were treating us right, but men who weren't treating us as worse, we platformed. And so what I want you to take away from this is that you are powerful. Your influence, your support, and unfortunately, your rage is extremely profitable to everyone. That's why everyone panders to you. That's why everyone attacks you. Because wherever your focus is, you're going to make that focus wealthy. So I want black women to take our power back, decenter men, and use our powerful focus to platform people that love us, support us, protect us, and give out to us. We deserve that. It's time to shake off the mammy stereotype and embrace being strong, because the opposite of strong is weak. So any man who tells you that you are strong is admitting that he is weak. There ain't a damn thing wrong with that. There is so much beauty and strength in our identity and in our culture, and we need to embrace that. Don't let these people play in your face. Take your power back and give support to those who support you. It's about to be an even exchange over here. No more giving support to people who don't look out for us. Before I close out, I don't want this to be a bashing of UK Bert and Ernie. Seriously, right? Because I was upset with the things that I had been seeing. I already was not a fan of them, like I told you before, from that clip where I saw Drake's tether talking about dark-skinned women bullied me in high school and I had to be nasty and colorist back to them. I didn't believe it, right? I still don't believe it. And his actions and things that he has said has proven that he was actually the bully in that situation. I will say that I understand, and I will give grace and understanding to them for this reason. In their apology, they both said it was fight or flight, and they just wanted to get out of that situation. So black women, they cannot protect you because they cannot protect themselves because they were scared. Y'all wanted them to stand up to that alabaster demon, but they were intimidated by him. They were scared of him, and they wanted to get out of that situation. So I will give them that for admitting that fear overtook them. They could not make any decision because they were frozen in fear. So the protection that you're looking for, you're not going to get from these kind of men, because these men are afraid of other men. They're scared, they're intimidated. They'd rather submit to them than fight them because they don't believe that they can beat them. So I'll give them grace and understanding for that, because fear will make you do some cringy and stupid things. So I'll give them that. I think that we as black women should focus on who we give our support to. And I think we should only give our support to people who support us. We're kingmakers. We've made enough of the wrong people king. Let's start using our support to make the right people king. We can do it. We got it. I love you, black women. This was a really sad thing to watch, especially for the black women who supported them, especially to that young lady who was near tears. That broke my heart. We don't deserve this. We know this, but don't forget who you are, because they need you to forget who you are so that they can break you, use you as cattle, and steal everything about you, because what you possess is precious and everybody knows it. We're the most duplicated and the most hated. Why? Because we're just born this way. We're born lit. Anyway, I love you. Let's talk about this in the comment section below. Keep your head up. It'll get better. Support those who support you. Love you, sisters. Bye. Mwah.